Well, thank you for being here. This is Sonia, and we are gathering here at the New Earth Cooperative. I wanted to talk a little bit about Ascension Apathy today. When I started a spiritual path, uh, working on the inner was something that I was used to being. I was used to hanging out on the inner all the time, so I was very comfortable with that. And I would spend long hours in meditation and doing my spiritual practices and reading, and opening myself up to new thought forms and ways of being. And yet the very thing, the things that I was really needing to access, I was avoiding. I thought I was doing the work, but come to find out that there was so much more that I needed to do. It's not that I wasn't doing the work, but there was way more that needed to be done. And so I describe that as my apathy in um, not truly going where I needed to go, and kind of deluding myself in certain forms of avoidance. And so I would get feelings of, well, I've been on this path for so long. Why haven't I progressed further than I have? Why am I still dealing with the same issues over and over again? And for me, it's been around health issues. So what I discovered in my journey is that we're basically computers walking around. we're walking computers with television screens on our heads, and we live in a quantum universe where everything that we do is outpictured in front of us as a hologram, and yet we experience it as a physical reality. I mean, we feel pain. We cut our fingers and whatever, and this is real. I mean, we're here in a holographic universe having a physical experience, and yet I discovered that what I am projecting out onto my screen is being created by me. So the patterns of I call them Trojan horses. These viral programs that have been implanted into our program have taken over. For me, it was programs of looking at myself as not being whole, not being healthy. So we're basically having a physical experience. So we have our physical body, we have our emotional body, and we have our mental body. And the physical body itself is a direct relationship of our emotional presence. So the body itself is the past. It's the past being expressed from the present moment that we are experiencing, and we experience our presence through our feeling body, through our hearts. And so when we're in our heads, which is what we tend to do, we're projecting out into the future. And so we kind of play back and forth between the past and the future, and we don't really lock into the presence of our feelings and what's truly happening for us in the moment. And so I discovered through my spiritual practices that, and actually working with the Christ codes, that I have all this information that is coming in to me every moment, and I have a choice to either relate to it or not relate to it. So we have that program, right? We're like walking computers with these programs, and we have a blueprint that is downloaded into our bodies and into our DNA, and then we have the 3D program that's overlaying and on top of it. And so the energies that are coming in from the planets and from the stars and from the sun are activating those 12 atoms. So we have the 12 physical atoms and the 12 mental atoms, and they're being activated. And as they're activated, the energy that has not been dealt with is rising up to the surface and coming up into our consciousness. And if we don't have a system to work with that energetic, then it starts building up, and that's when people start freaking out. And that's why we have people going out and shooting people, or kids committing suicide. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to process all this energy that is coming up, and it's increasing. It's like every year, this ascension cycle is bringing a more energy for us to deal with, and if we're not dealing with these issues, then, like I said, it gets overwhelming. So I wanted to share a dream I had, because as I was working with the Christ codes this last month, trying to get them online for you, uh, I was being activated big time because I was working with the codes every day, because that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to bring up to the surface, what it is that I'm that needs healing in me. The ocean represents the origins of life. So I was having a dream about the origins of my life as a soul, and all these parts of myself, all these different life streams were landing. Now, spiritual planes are like higher etheric body transportation. So I had these other parts of myself coming in for a landing, and we're all congregating together. And so I personally have been working on assimilating all my life streams, because I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but when we were born as souls, we came in not only in this one form, but we came in multiple forms. Within the quantum universe, we are having multiple experiences in parallel realities. And so in the ascension process, you want to coalesce all that consciousness within the other life streams into this one. You want to actually embody all of you in one body so that you can ascend. So I have been actively working in the quantum fields and in my inner work when I'm working with the codes, to call in those aspects of myself to unify with my consciousness, and I'm claiming the mastery from those live streams as well. And for any energy that has not been dealt with, then I'm calling that in so that I can trans-energize that energy as well. So in this dream, everyone's coming in and landing and moving into the ocean, which is the connecting with the origins of our life as one soul, oversoul, one consciousness. And so it was funny because when we got in the water, it was staged to look like it was the ocean, but it actually had a cement floor. And I was my divine self was directing the whole thing and saying, "You guys need to look like you're bobbing in the water because we're filming this." And so then once everyone was gathered and we had our celebration trays, because this was like a victory for all of us to come together now. The scene changed and it became a room. And in the room, there were 12 individuals, and not necessarily individuals, but there were 12 beings in the room who were representatives of all those other life streams. So this, in a sense, correlates to our 12 chakra systems, because each chakra system has a physical embodiment that's connected to it on a multidimensional level of ourselves. And I personally have been able to connect to some of those live streams, and so I can tell you that it's true. But anyway, so I'm I'm watching this scene where all these people are sitting on a sofa and are gathered around this room, and there's a throne chair in the corner, and they're all trying to get to the throne chair. And so, that's something that we're trying to achieve when we're ascending. We want to get to that throne chair. We want to sit in the throne and be the directors of ourselves as one consciousness, right? So in the dream, the male, what I would call my divine masculine, was vying for the throne seat, at the same time the divine feminine was going towards it. And she, by the way, was represented as a hoop. And the other people were all strategically trying to get to the throne. And when they finally arrived, it was the divine feminine and divine masculine arrived together. And when they went to claim the key, which was what they were all seeking, this key, it turns out that the divine self, had taken the key while they were maneuvering, and I had it. I was the one who decides when we ascend, when we all ascend. So what the dream was telling me was basically confirming that I had finished my work at that level, and that I needed to make an effort now to be able to ascend. That's the last step for me. Now that I've congregated everybody together, then now I need to work even harder to start blending these energies within myself. So I'm sharing this because I feel like uh, it would give you a better understanding of of your own personal journey. We're all doing this individually. We all need to do this, and so that's what the Christ codes can do. They can basically speak to these different energetics within your universal blueprint and help open up those atoms so that you can activate yourself and become a fully embodied divine being, which is your core blueprint. That's the core blueprint in your motherboard system that I was speaking about earlier. And so we have this third dimensional overlay that is the television screen that we are living through, right? So, and then I had a second dream that actually was demonstrating that. I was excited about this picture about having our heads being a television screen, and I had a dream about it, and I was telling my husband Bennett about it. And in the dream, I'm showing him the television screen, and as I'm talking about it, I actually projected myself out of the screen as a cow, and he projected out of his screen as a cow. So I mean, this might sound fantastic to you, but I'm a dreamer, and I get a lot of information and guidance from my dreams, because our dreams are really connected to our soul. That's how our soul communicates to us every night, through our dreams. The soul also communicates to us through synchronistic events. And so we're constantly being communicated to every day. And so when we unplug from the third dimensional system, which is really the illusion that is keeping us from truly connecting to our divinity, then okay, so there's a paradox that's happening here. So how do I say this? You have to really embrace the body that you're in before you can ascend anywhere. And to embrace it is really to become present, be the presence. That's what the present is. The presence is the present, right? It's really about experiencing yourself in the moment as an emotional being, and having the freedom to express yourself in whatever ways that you want to express yourself. And unfortunately, we live in a society where we're told that we're free, that we have freedom, but we really don't. We we have all these things that we have to do. We have to have licenses for everything that we want to do. We're basically building a new body, a new fifth dimensional body, and our third dimensional reality is basically dissolving. There, within this energetic cycle that I was talking about, there is a destroying archetype, and the destroying archetype always comes in the end of a cycle that we're in right now. We're getting ready to ascend into a new way of being, a new earth. And so the old earth is in a disintegration process, and we're basically, our third dimensional reality is disintegrating, and we are building bridges, you might say, to the fifth dimension. And so we can't really help that part that is dissolving, and if we get ourselves trapped in the dissolution process, which is pretty much where everyone is right now, then you miss the opportunity to be present with what's happening with you and what you need to accomplish to build those bridges to the fifth dimension. And so what the power that we do have, though, is every time, because we live in a quantum reality, every time we heal something within us, we're healing it for the world as well. Not only for the world, but for the universe. We're all part of one body, right? So if we focus on the problem, all we're doing is creating more problems, because we're just, wherever we put our attention, we are actually drawing more attention into it. So if we're focusing on the problems, then all we're doing is creating more problems, right? So if we start focusing on healing ourselves, now I say focus on the problem, I mean, focusing on like the politics and all the things that are disintegrating within our third dimensional reality. If we start focusing on all of that kind of stuff, we're going to miss the boat. We're going to miss the true gift that's present here. And it's not that we're disconnecting ourselves from what's going on the planet, but we're doing it by taking care of ourselves first. And then as we become connected to what we're truly here to do, what is our true mission, our true soul mission here on the planet? Well, my true soul mission was and is the Christ codes. So I'm completely devoted to getting this work out so that more people can use this system and prepare for ascension. That's what I came here to do. If I start focusing all my inner energy on the politics and in this and in that, and I'll never get done what I came here to do. And so what the codes can help you do is get clear on the picture of why you're here. What is your soul mission? What is your blueprint? What is the underlying blueprint? Because we each have our core divinity blueprint, right? Our immortality gene. And then we have a soul blueprint that is overlaid on top of that, which is a symbiotic relationship with the core blueprint. And then we are born into this third dimensional blueprint as a way for us to have a physical container or a vehicle to experience reality, to experience our divinity, to test out our co-creative powers, and learn how to manage them, right? Because power can be wicked. I mean, if you start abusing power, which I have done in many live streams, I was shown that part of my work here in this time is to help heal abuse of the will. That was something that I've been working out as a soul in multidimensional live streams. We're given power as a divine being with all our creative powers, and we are learning how to wield that power with grace, with compassion, with heart. And as you can see on the planet, not everyone is wielding their power that way. They're abusing their power. And so, we have this place, this safe container on the earth where we can try out our little God selves without destroying the universe in the process. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that when we start waking up to who we are and what our true mission is, then we can start affecting the third dimensional reality by building the bridges. We're building bridges to the fifth dimension, but as we heal ourselves, we're actually healing the world. And so we're making the world a better place by not focusing, quote unquote, on the chaos, but focusing on what needs to be healed within us. So have a blessed day and see you next month.